All right, Brandon. So usually when you think of the name Square Enix, you do not think about racing games.
First and foremost.
Or mud or Supercross. Those are not the words.
I do think of leather jackets, though.
Yes.
You know?
That's true.
Yeah. Spikes, every now and then, metal spikes and such.
But yeah, so last week I went to the Square Enix offices locally here, which I've seen them. They're kind of over by the airport, so anyone's gone through LAX has probably seen their offices. But I've never actually been there for any reason. Like anything that they've had at a PR company's office or a hotel or something like that. It was the first time I've actually been over there and visited there. Yeah, so they had two racing games from an Italian developer named Milestone, who've been through different publishers over the years. They've been with Namco and Capcom and such.
One developer, 2 games.
Yes.
That's interesting.
But see, that's kind of
not trailer for one game, play the other, but 2 demoable games.
Right, and both also out in February.
Crazy. Wow.
But that's kind of, yeah, it's like for people that aren't familiar with Milestone, they've been sort of in the background constantly making games. Like they've had the MotoGP games, MXGP games over the years, again through all these different publishers. But yeah, we'll consistently put out 2, 3, or 4 games every year, and mostly motorcycle based.
Okay.
And then they've had in recent years more car based games. Like they had the World Rally Challenge, WRC, but that might not be exactly what WRC stands for. But the WRC game and a couple other things here and there.
I wish I could have your back there, like totally.
Yeah,
like can't say but that's on my radar.
That's kind of the weird thing about Milestone is it's one of those things where like they're constantly putting out games and yet it's like this it's almost like it's so consistent that like I don't even notice. Like I don't even I played one.
They keep hitting milestones.
One of the most.
They move on to the next one. They just keep. They're really. It's smart. It's more what we should do. Really set smaller goals. Mm-hmm. So you're just constantly proving yourself right.
Yeah, like I remember like some of the Capcom events playing some MotoGP games there. I think I might have reviewed one of them at Game Trailers, but just generally not checking a lot of them out. And then even with this event, like they originally were like trying to get us to check out the games like later November, December, and it's like they're like I'm not gonna go check these out right now. But it's like now it's January, slow down. It's like okay, well, I'm curious, see what they've got going on. So the 2 games there's the motorcycle game, which is Monster Energy Supercross, and then the other one is the car game is Gravel, which is the one I was a little bit more interested in, and both out in February. So Supercross game comes out on February 13th, PS4, PC, Xbox, and Switch. Although the Switch version doesn't have the track editor that's in there.
Oh.
It's missing that feature.
Is that new? Or has that always been in the series? Or
I think it's new.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that's in there. And then Gravel is February 28th for Xbox and PC. So they just had a PC build set up, and then they went between both games, and I got a little bit of footage there.
Did they have monster drinks there? Did they ask you for a monster at some point during the event?
They did not. I just had a water. There was some coffee. They invited me. So they did invite me. I didn't go down. But the next day in Anaheim, there was the actual race. So, and then these are all like all the real arenas, the real track layouts from last year.
Okay.
A lot of the real drivers and stuff. And, even I think they had the official announcer in there as well. So, but at the same time, as we were talking, like Milestone games, they've been a bit more of a niche, and both of these games are aiming to have a bit less of a sim feel, a bit more approachable. They used the word arcadey, although they didn't feel like super arcadey in that sense. They just felt, just more relaxed, looser controls, and not as many little details and nuances to work out. Because sometimes I haven't played their motocross games in the past, but some of the ones that I have played, it's like there's a lot of managing when you're going over jumps, just lots of little details about kind of how you're leaning back and forth and all that kind of thing.
Do you prefer that stuff, or are you kind of mixed? You're just I'll play an arcadey and I'll play a sim and appreciate them for what they are?
I haven't played enough of those kind of games to really like say, but yeah, I think probably a little bit more on the side of arcadey. Like I would, like there's so much there to like grapple with that like I can appreciate it at times. But at times I just I want to have a modern Excite Bike, and I think that's sort of what they were going for. They even brought up Excite Bike when they brought up the track editor. It's like yeah, like you just put the pieces together and it's pretty simple. So I got to play around with that a bit. The one thing that tripped me up a little bit, it took me a bit to figure out, is that when you do the track editor, you don't just like connect to like the starting line, because the starting line has the metal grids. Like you actually like connect in like right past that. So that was a little weird, like trying to figure out like, oh, okay, I got to angle in like. It's like there's a little bit that juts out here, and then you angle it back in there for when you want to do laps.
Oh, okay.
It's like just a little bit forward of the starting line, and you set a different finish line.
But you built a track? You like built your own?
Yeah, I built a couple tracks, raced around a little bit, and it's funny though, because it's one of those games where I didn't have a lot of time to put into it. So, but like my first lap around, like I was being really like cautious and attentive, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting this. I think I got this. And then like I just start falling farther back, just like making more mistakes and like jumping off the track and stuff. Because even with relaxed controls, like just all the jumps on one of those Supercross courses, it's really easy to go off course, because you've got to kind of know where you're gonna land before you make that jump. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, I'm off, right. I'm gone. Like,
but you got to gun it on every jump the first time. Just to...
Yeah, you just gotta figure...
It's a fun way to fail.
You gotta feel it out. Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot to say on it. They're not going like into like a lot of... I think the track editor is probably like the craziest thing they're doing. Everything else is pretty like standard, like single events, time attacks. There's a bit of a career and championship mode there. Gravel is a little bit more... Yeah, probably a little bit more built up, a little bit more varied. They've got, again, it's like they use the word arcadey, but like it still feels mostly like grounded. Like maybe the most arcadey thing is that like they'll have checkpoints, up there, and like checkpoint races.
Sounds like an arcadey game. Say gravel to me, and like that sounds like a fun. It sounds like Dirt, which is also a franchise. Right. So it's funny that like.
Yeah, I think that was my first impression of it too. It was like dirt and then gravel. Okay. Yeah, like some of the places I saw, there was they had a built-up course like in the LA Coliseum, which I played some racing games that have done that before, and then they've had tracks in Alaska. I think there's a track in Namibia. And those were more like out in the wild, like I was saying, like checkpoint races. And one thing I appreciated about this, especially after a couple of months ago when I played the Crew 2 demos, is like if you miss a checkpoint, then they're like, okay, we're gonna pull you back and like set you back on the right path. Whereas some games, like when hopefully the Crew 2 will do that in the final game as well, because I would miss the checkpoint and I'm like, what? I gotta like do a big loop and try to get back there, and like I didn't even realize I missed it at first, and so like that's like a full minute behind. That's not gonna work. I've just lost this race,
Right. Or I love like skiing and snowboarding games, and it's like I physically can't get back up the mountain to redo that checkpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. They have for context, they have like this TV station. They have the Gravel Channel.
Okay.
Kind of narrating your way through the career, and they also have what they call boss battles. But again, like I'm saying, is like I like have reservations about calling certain things arcadey, because he's like the bosses, like they're just photographs of guys. I'm like, I'm not sure if these are real world drivers or if they're just guys like in outfits. Photos. But it's like okay, your boss battles. It's just this guy in a car. Which I don't expect much more, but like you would think like in an arcadey game, like you'd have like this crazy mohawk and like flames coming off the sides or something, But yeah, but they have like different disciplines, like some races that are lap, some that are point to point, some that have like a mix of asphalt in there. Like I did this one, I think it was like an Italian course, where like it was like sunset and the sun was like reflecting off of the wet pavement. It was a pretty cool track. And then so that one, it was like you had to play it, try to play it a little bit more like Like even though it's more relaxed, try to play it a little bit more like Gran Turismo or something. Like okay, I got to make it around. Like slow down, hit the brakes, make it around this corner. But then you get into like little dirty patches and stuff as well.
But speaking of visuals, both games look good. Both games are.
They don't look amazing or anything. Like and that's the thing is like
Not like Xbox One X craziness or.
right. But they're fine. Yeah. They've got some good spots, nice spots in there. They have some snow courses too, some ice courses.
Nice.
And
good to show at a preview event.
Yeah, I did one where they have a rewind feature, but I actually like when I hit the bump and I started rolling, like I rolled so far that it was like it went beyond the rewind, But it's like I gotta capture that epic roll. Like that's just what Yeah, if you're gonna show a racing game and like, yeah, spin that car around. One thing I didn't get to see in there, they talked about having some multiplayer in there. It sounded like it was kind of like playground games, kind of Forza Horizon inspired stuff, like King of the Hill and that kind of thing in there.
Oh.
So it'd be cool to check that out.
Is it just you and the devs, or were you with a group of people, but you weren't doing multiplayer
No,
stuff?
it was literally just like me.
Oh, neat.
And two Square Enix guys, so no Milestone guys at all either. So it was just
Okay.
yeah, just a couple of
They got the goods.
local guys. Yeah,
You're there to test them.
yeah. But yeah, like I said, I don't expect anything amazing out of either one of these games, but I think they're both probably like if you want to pick up some racers like right now, Dirt 4 just came out last year, so you're probably not going to see anything from those guys.
Well, I mean, what
for
did
a
they
bit.
want? Do you think they were expecting your reaction? That you're just like, okay, these are fun, these are neat, these are niche, but like, racing is not a franchise I really spent a lot of time. I was curious about what was the Need for Speed? Not Rivals, but what was the last year's Need?
Oh, Payback.
Payback.
Yeah.
Couldn't.
Yeah, that's the funny thing
title.
is like Payback like clearly has higher ambitions, but I would probably have more fun playing this game just because
Sure.
of all the stuff that they've put in to get in the way.
And
in
accessibility
Payback.
was
Yeah,
your big issue with Payback. But Crew 2 would probably be at the top of that list. If I was like, today's racing day, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to play at least one racing game. Are they in the mindset that they want to get ahead of that? Or if they have such a niche audience and such a very specific
I mean, I think
goal
making
in
these
mind?
games more accessible does kind of speak to like they want to be a little bit more of a broader audience. Gravel is probably a push to get into a broader audience, whereas I think like with Monster Energy Supercross, like there it's like your audience is built in. It's like the guys that are
like Monster Energy drink, right?
Yeah, well, the Supercross specifically, but because I think that Monster is just like a sponsor of the sport itself as well.
You just don't hear that often with the
Yeah, when you get a video
motocross
game, yeah.
sponsored by Monster Energy drink, or motocross, and you just see Monster Energy
Hey,
drink.
when
all
I went to
over it.
Assassin's
But
Creed
that-
preview event, they had the can. It's like you can take pictures of the can, but don't post them until after Monster reveals it. Like, okay, I'm
Is
not.
there a new flavor coming out with it? Like, I want to know. I know it's like the easiest, lowest hanging fruit to talk about, but so I'm saving it toward the end, near the end of the video. But it just cracks me up. I mean, it is under MO in the library of video games, but you think it's that MOT for motocross, but it's MOS for Monster, or MON for Monster. Yeah, I mean, are you gonna play either of these games again?
Well, I'll probably check them out when they release. Maybe do a quick stream or something. I don't know. But
We're changing how we do those, by the way.
well,
Your hands-on impressions. We want to do more of those in 2018. So you're ahead of the pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what form it takes when it finally comes out.